Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Nicole, and I'm actually going to talk to all of you about a book that I just read. The book is called Wander by R.J. Palacio. Um, and I kind of just want to talk to you a little bit about what this book was actually about. And then I also really want to talk about just some of the parts in the book that I really, really enjoyed. So this book is essentially about a boy named August Pullman, and it's about his experience through the fifth grade because he's never been to school before, and he is starting out in the fifth grade. He has been homeschooled, so he, of course, is still kind of caught up with the curriculum that they're doing, but overall, he has not had like an actual school experience with classmates and whatnot. Um, so this book is just kind of about that, but also one major factor that kind of affects August's overall experience is his he was born with a condition that's called craniofacial dystosis, and so essentially what this is a condition that alters the facial features at birth. And so August was born with like no jaw, I believe, or like part of his jaw missing. And then also his ears are a little bit smaller, so it's kind of hard for him to hear. He even makes a reference to that several times. Um, and then, of course, some of his other physical facial features are different. I guess what we would consider to be not normal. So, so August has lived with this his entire life, but he's never gone to school with this condition. So it's all about just kind of how that condition has really, how it can affect his overall school experience, and it does. So along the way, August meets some friends. His family goes through some trials, and then he also meets a couple of bullies along the way. So that is very prevalent in the book. But overall, I really enjoyed this book. I thought it was a great book. I personally would give it a 5 out of 5 stars, which maybe doesn't hold a lot of weight because, who am I? But I actually really liked this book, especially for a book that I generally wouldn't gravitate towards. Usually I read more like fantasy novels and whatnot. Um, and so I wasn't sure that I was going to enjoy this book just because it's different from the genre that I usually enjoy. But I really liked it. I thought it was a great book. And this book I would actually recommend for anybody who is in fifth grade or higher. Because again, August is starting out in the fifth grade, which is actually middle school for him. And so I would actually recommend it for anyone in that age range, so like 10 years old or higher, just because it's something that there's some characteristics I would say that they could actually, I guess, kind of connect with. And so, because there are some politics that I would say were probably prevalent in my own fifth grade experience when I was growing up, that I did connect to. As well as the middle school politics definitely are very prevalent. It's just August kind of faces them to quite an extreme because of his condition. So I would recommend this book to anyone who is in fifth grade or higher just because they can make that connection of at least being in the fifth grade. And then if they're in middle school or if they've been in middle school, they can kind of make the connection with the politics as well of middle school. So now I kind of want to just talk a little bit about some of the parts that I really liked. So first of all, I really enjoyed the book's overall structure. I really appreciated that it was actually divided into 8 parts. And so some of the parts were August, his sister Via, his sister's best friend Miranda, um, his sister's boyfriend Justin, and then also his 2 friends, August's 2 friends, Jack, Will, and Summer. So I really enjoyed all of the parts. I thought that were great, and I thought they really contributed to the story. I thought that each event that happened really added to the story as well, and didn't seem out of place, didn't seem random in any way. I also liked that with the parts, they didn't kind of just pick up where the last part left off. Kind of gave us a little bit of background, so even though August's part, the first part, might have ended with um, kind of the situation that happened with Jack Will, even though that was the case, um, Via's part didn't pick up until, well, it picked up in the summertime, so the previous summer, and then I believe the same thing happened with a few of the other parts as well. Like Jack Will's part started with basically the phone call from Mr. Tushman, asking if he would come in and show August around. So I really appreciated that just because it gave us a little bit of context behind these characters and helped kind of develop them as characters. I also really liked the different vocabulary styles or the different sayings that each character had in their part. I thought that really contributed to them as a character. And I could just really tell the difference between August's parts versus Via's parts. There's a pretty significant age difference, I would say. I think there's like a 4-year age difference between the two. So there is definitely a lot of mannerisms between different characters that I really picked up and I really appreciated, and it just made sense. So overall, I really appreciated the structure of the book. I thought it was just really, really well thought out. Some of my favorite parts were actually, I really enjoyed Via's part. And then I also really enjoyed Jack Will's part. And then, of course, August. I mean, it's his story ultimately. But I really liked Via and Jack Will's parts in particular. One thing that I really appreciated about Via's part was just that basically there was this element in the book where often, I guess, when I think of someone who has a condition such as Augie's, I generally, most of my attention goes more towards the person who's enduring that condition. Often I don't really think too much about the family, but this book really made me think about the family, and especially Via, and kind of just how August's condition has also shaped her life. And I guess I just never really thought of it in that way. So I really liked that the book drew attention to that. And then, of course, also the politics of high school, because there were definitely some things in Via's story that I related to, that I think probably all of us have experienced in high school to some degree or another. I also really liked Jack Will's part. I really thought that it was kind of a humorous part. I mean, not to be taken in the wrong way. I just really liked Jack Will's part, especially when he was talking about the sled that he found, lightning. He named it, he painted it, all that. I just thought that was pretty funny. But so I kind of appreciated his part, but I also appreciated that he kind of came to realize that he messed up, and that he really did enjoy August as a friend, and he wanted to have that friendship again. I guess I appreciated this part as well, just because it kind of described what friendship should really be, or one example, I guess. And so I really enjoyed that. Some things that were really prevalent in August's story that I really appreciated. I really liked when Jack Will stood up to, of course, Julian. And then I also really liked when all of August's classmates stood up for August when they were away at the nature retreat. And they ran into all those seventh graders, Eddie, and they stood up for him. And also, August kind of just, he didn't take anything. He stood up for himself as well. And I felt like it just showed a lot of growth in his character. And overall, I just thought this was a really good book. I thought that August's story was really, really good. And I just appreciated his story. And all the other characters, I'm glad that the other characters weren't developed or weren't neglected. So that's kind of just some thoughts on the book Wonder. I definitely recommend it. I would say that this is still a great book for anyone who is in younger grades. I would probably not recommend this for maybe K through 2 to K through 3. But I would definitely recommend this for anyone who's in 5th grade or higher, just because they can make those connections and because there's some things that they can relate to. So I hope that everybody found this video useful, and thank you so much for watching.